to date, 16.6.
$161,000 in sales, 16.6K in commission in 30 days.
Past 7 days, 3K.
33K GMV.
It takes 3 hours. Do the work and then you're out.
Ollie, go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of talk a little bit about what's been like since you've been a part of Apex.
My name's Oliver. I've been now in Apex since, how long has it been now?
Maybe just over a month. I think you've probably been here for a month and a half.
Yeah, not even, right? And obviously I met Alejandro, I met Pete. I've known Alejandro for the longest time. Through Alejandro, I met Pete through both of them. I met everybody else, Levi, you, Yasic, Akade, Ty, everybody else in the community. And before this, I was literally back in October, I was working at Publix. I had been there 5 years, almost 5 years. I was like creeping up on the 5 year mark. And, there was a point where
Publix it's a grocery store, right?
Yeah, I was a grocery clerk. And, I think what was I making? I think I was making like $19.55, something like that, an hour. And even then, like at that time, I was only working like 3 days a week. 5 years. It was kind of like, all right, I need to get out of here. And I felt like if I didn't get out of there, I would never fully commit, right? There's always that little, even if you have like the results, sometimes there's a little bit of like after a certain amount of time, it's like, I really got to jump on the boat fully, But no, it's been great. Again, what has it been? A little bit over a month. The past 30 days to date. I don't know if you can.
Oh my gosh. $161,000 in sales, 16.6K in commission in 30 days.
This is the past 30 days. Yeah.
Bro,
so
that is a doctor.
18th to February 16th.
So you went from making $19.50 an hour, working at Public 3 days a week, to make nearly $20,000 your first month.
Yeah. And obviously before this, I was still doing like regular TikTok stuff as well. Back in May, we were doing regular BOF. And I saw a 10K month back in August, but literally right after that, bam, like I touched the $1,000 days. And I think that week was like 4 consecutive $1,000 days. And then it was like 900. And then the account got banned. I didn't get a lick of it. And so it was like, all right, now it's time to, restart. And honestly, even last month, I guess 2 months ago now in December, lowest month to date, I had a couple accounts. They just weren't ripping for whatever reason. But, we jumped in with the AI stuff. And first month in January, last month, I touched I think it was 11, just 11K. And it's been great.
And when you were working at Publix, how you're doing like 8-9 hour shifts?
Yeah, it was 8 to 9 when I first started. Oh my god, dude, I was ripping like 45 hours weeks.
And now how long does like that workflow take you per day for AIBOF?
Literally less than 3.5-4 hours. Literally.
So you went from working 8 to 9 hours a day, like over 40 hours a week, to now making a literal doctor's salary, working 3 hours a day.
Yeah, no, it's insane. It's literally
crazy. Oh my gosh, insane. What was the one thing that kind of like inspired you to get into like TikTok shop? Because was it Alejandro that fully like put you on, was like, bro, you got to do this?
Yeah, without a doubt. Like back when I graduated, I got a bachelor's degree in a business degree, and honestly, it was kind of useless. I'm gonna be honest. There was a sense of like, you gotta do this. This is the route you gotta take, right? And so I took that out literally 3 years. Yeah, I got my bachelor's in 3 years, and after that was like during the summer of 2024, I got my bachelor's degree, and then from that point, I told myself I'd give myself a year. If I can't make any money in a year, I'll go back to school. I'll get a master's degree in data analytics. So I jumped from that summer, beginning of the year. I was trying to learn how to do like website design and stuff like that. And so what I would do is like for a couple of months at least, I was trying to sell like websites to like really small HVAC companies, and I did pretty well. But like cold calling was terrible. I hated cold calling. It wasn't my cup of tea. I did make a little bit off of there, but it wasn't, substantial. It wasn't something I wanted to continue doing.
Yeah.
And I had this other thing where I had made like this Instagram community, and I started targeting more of a niche that I liked. It was like car photographers. And so I would set up the portfolio websites. And obviously you can't charge as much just because they're not making much, and like they're literally starting their whole journey, right? And so you can only pay a certain amount. Like I think the most I ever charged was like 120 for like one of them. And like compared to like where the HVAC companies were like you could charge 700 up for whatever, like the small ones that I was doing, at least it just wasn't gonna fully cut through that. And then I also started making you ever heard of School?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I made a school community off of that, the car photography thing, and through that, like I think I grew the account on Instagram up to, I think it was like just under 7,000, and it was just like really niche. Like these were all just car photographers from all over, and I got them to like literally join the community. It was something like, how much was it? I think I had it at like 50 per person. person. I made, a decent amount, but it just, there was a bottleneck because like I'm the middleman, right? And there was obviously people with better offers. So I was like, okay, this is probably not going to work out. And just around that time that was coming around, Alejandro was like, there's this style BOF, right? It's like, you can go ahead and try this out for us. They were doing some other kind of content style. And then for that BOF, I think fully it took maybe 2 months. It wasn't up until, because I started in May, it wasn't up until July, end of July, where like I started seeing like, okay, these are $200 days. And then August was like beginning of August was when, I was starting to rip. Obviously, the account got banned. But yeah, no, everything since then, it was kind of always like, 4K, 6K months. But no, literally since January, started doing this.
Yeah, I kind of want to like touch on that a little bit more. So was it AI BOF, which was the main thing that contributed to the full switch? Because were you doing just normal like human BOF beforehand?
Yeah.
And then you switched to AI BOF, that's when it just took off. Yeah. And then for someone maybe that's like coming into this and they've tried like, drop shipping, all these other business models in the past. And, a lot of people kind of have a misconception with TikTok Shop that you have overhead, that you have to have products shipped to your house, that you have all this stuff that you have to kind of account for. And AI BOF, I mean, the beauty of it is you never have to actually have physical products on hand. You have no inventory, no nothing. So for someone's coming in, how long do you feel like it took you to kind of learn the workflow? And for someone that has no prior experience like with tech, or they feel like that might be an issue?
It's kind of crazy because it's actually real. It's like a simple process. It's literally just you go to one thing and then you're at the next and then you're just posting at that point, right? Like the system's pretty easy. Obviously, after a while, you're making 40 to 50 videos every single day. Some people make more, and you just kind of get good with it. It just kind of becomes quicker. I think at the beginning of this, I was definitely taking a lot longer, just because it's like going back and forth, and sometimes generations are too good. But once you're like, I think maybe even like 3 days in, you're at that like 3 hours mark. The only thing that really takes time is like getting to understand the product selection stuff. But after that, it's a cakewalk.
Yeah, and that's something that you've done so well with. Like you're a quant when it comes to your product selection.
Yeah, no, I usually tend to be a little bit picky. I think that's where I spend a little bit more time. Honestly, the generation stuff, it's kind of just like, click here, click there. But like, I think that product selection is like where most of the time should be at,
Got you. What was one thing you have to say, like best benefit of being in the community?
Best benefit, I think, just the connections to people, feels like this is something, right? I think some people may not have that. And I think being around people, especially on this trip that we're on, right? Where, we're all the guys having dinner, we're out, walking around, exploring the city, and, the trips to come as well with all you guys.
And you've been in the program for a month and now you're out in New York with us.
Yeah, literally a week trip. Yeah,
it's crazy, man. I don't have too many more questions. I think one thing we got to do is maybe throw up some more receipts. How you're looking today? Maybe
okay, so those were today's actually kind of low. I'm gonna give you a buck, but I'll show you to date from the beginning of the year. Let's see if I can. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think another thing we got to like tell the people is like we're traveling in New York together. We're all having a good time, and you're still printing regardless. Yeah, it's not like you're really working,
Yeah, okay. Past 7 days, 3K, 3.1,
33K GMV.
Yeah,
look at that.
That's just literally the past 7 days. And again, that's just like it takes 3 hours. Do the work, and then you're out. Like we're out, right? And yeah, no, it's actually insane. I finished all my work this morning. I got up. It actually didn't even take that long. I think I managed to be just under 3 hours today, actually, too. And we're about to just go out and explore.
Super sick, bro. All right, well, thank you so much, brother.